Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my Fear the Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 1, the season premiere. And I'm actually pretty excited about this season, especially after I just watched the first episode. Now, I do want to say that I'm not going to catch up on Fear the Walking Dead by the time the season finale airs for Season 4. I would pretty much have to stay up all night and watch and do nothing tomorrow but watch that show, but that's just not going to really work out that way. So, my plan is to finish it, though, at the end of this week. Um, so, let's hope that happens. Um, just because, The Walking Dead comes back Sunday, and I want to have everything watched before that comes back. So that way I can do a preview prediction for it and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get Fear the Walking Dead all done and watched by Friday. That's my goal. Um, but let's talk about this episode. And I was very skeptical going into this season because the last season I thought was kind of a mixed bag. So this one I'm not really sure how it's going to be, but I thought this was a fantastic start to season 3. I thought it did a really good job of setting the tone for what this season could look like. Um, and I thought this episode just did a fantastic job. Um, Now, this is kind of one of those cases where while there was one storyline going on, everybody kind of went into and did their own separate things, but they all kind of came back into one story. So I'm going to kind of do the best I can to try to fit everything in this review. But the thing is I'm not going to go everything scene by scene because, like I've said before, when I do that, it finds to make the reviews really sloppy. So I'm going to kind of go by order of storyline and stuff like that. Um, so that's that. So the episode actually starts off with Maggie. I'm sorry, Von Show. Maddie, Travis, and Alicia being kidnapped by the people that kidnapped Nick, Luciano, and their group at the end of season 2, which I kind of liked that it kicked off that way. It is very confusing though when you first watch it because it makes you think you missed something, but I guess we're supposed to assume that the same thing happened to them that happened to Nick's group, that they just ended up getting um, jumped because they went to the sanctuary where Nick went because that's where they were told to go from Nick's group, from um, the from where his group was, and they just ended up getting jumped just like them. I did like the scenery of this place, how it was a military base pretty much, and there was a ton of infected that had been put down. I did like that, and Maddie fell over, so I did like that. And Madison uh, and Alicia get separated from Travis. They take Travis somewhere else. So this is kind of where I'll be talking about the separate storylines. And we know something bad's gonna happen to Travis. He gets kidnapped. He gets taken into this room with a bunch of people, and it shows the army or military. I don't really remember which one they were, putting down some people and writing down military time from when they put them down. And there's going to be more on that later. And Travis gets taken to this room, and when the military leave, they see that Travis sees Nick staring right across from him. But I kind of thought was very symbolic and very fitting that Travis was the one that saw him because Travis and Nick hadn't seen each other since the mid-season finale of season 2. Um, and yeah, I thought that was great. Um, and I'm going to kind of talk about everything that went on with Travis first, just because I'm just happen to be talking about it now. So Travis tells Nick that his his mom's looking for him, and Travis is upset because he kind of felt like he brought everybody to their death because he thought this place was a sanctuary from where he the way he saw it. And I did kind of like how Nick asked about Travis's son. And Travis didn't say anything. That kind of showed. It was kind of symbolic because it was kind of the fact that he didn't say anything that kind of showed that he was upset that his son died. So I liked that. And um, Troy walks in, who's the leader of this military base, and he gets into a face-to-face confrontation with Travis. And he asks what kind of people he is, and he says his last name, which I don't know how to say. Manawoa, I think is how you say it. And he talks about his people, and Travis then asks, um, you know, Troy for help because Luciana, since she was shot, needs medical attention. And Troy says that we're going to show mercy on her because we're going to put her down. Um, and what we'll find out pretty much that what they're doing is they're doing studies of when people get reanimated after they turn into one of the infected. Which I kind of like that they did this. It reminds me of in The Walking Dead when they did studies on the walkers, seeing if your humanity is still inside you. It isn't the exact same thing, but I think that was kind of a nice study because it kind of shows that the infected are still the threat, and I like um, because it's always a question that I've had because um, I notice sometimes when you watch this show when some people die they'll turn into a zombie quicker than other people. So I kind of like that they were doing studies on that. I kind of thought it was a nice area to kind of visit. Um, and we meet this guy Steven, and he says he can get them out of there. And what a coincidence that all the military take Travis, Nick, Luciana, some other random people, and Steven all in the same, and they're gonna put them down all at the same time. I thought that was kind of a coincidence right there. Um, and Steven talks about where he came from before and how he came here because he was shot and couldn't take care of himself. And he says that the way he got here was because he says that there's a tunnel that can get them out of there. And at first, Travis doesn't want to do it because he's not family. Um, but then Travis agrees to it, and Travis starts interrogating Blake um, and the rest of the military, whose names weren't said because they were just extras in the show. And he pretty much says that what they're doing is inhumane. That there's really no reason to do studies about this type of stuff. Um, and they have some words about whether or not this study is right, which I kind of liked. This part of the episode, and then Blake, and as this is happening, the way they put these people down too is they have a shout. They shower where they all where the military would take their showers, and they like strap them to the wall and tape their mouth shut and put them down that way, and they'll write down how long the time they put them down and how long it took, the time they were revived or they reanimated. And I did like how originally they were gonna take Nick to be put down, but Travis offers to sacrifice himself um, to be put down. And eventually Travis does it, but we find out it's a trap, which we all knew was going to be a trap, and he ends up attacking members of the military. He hits Blake. One of the infected that are revived bites one of the military members, and Steven, Travis, Nick, and Luciana all run away. And Luciana doesn't do much running because of a wound, but you get what I'm saying. And they end up cutting themselves loose of their rope from when they were tied up. And Travis has Nick, Steven, and Luciana run away while he goes and finds Alicia and Maddie. And Travis gets caught by the military, but and this is kind of when the storylines get all separated with each other. So I'll just kind of continue talking. Um, I'll just talk about Travis's first since I already mentioned him. So um, Troy hears this go down, and I'll get to what was going on with Troy as this was happening. And they tell him what happened, and Troy says things about that he's gonna pretty much um take care of Maddie and Alicia, which gets Travis upset. Um, and Travis ends up and they go to put Travis back in the lab, but instead they decide to um put Travis in the pit, which is the infected pit. Um, and we also found out some things about the infected. Travis was asking why they have the dead right in front, and he says that because the infected won't eat dead corpses because they have no interest. We also find out that eventually, when they get tired, they don't have any interest in eating blood, but that's eventually when you turn. So Travis tries to fight his way out of it, but there's just too many people, and he gets thrown into the pit, and he has to do the best he can to fight off the infected, and he does a pretty damn good job of it. He attacks the infected. He hits a couple of them with a cinder block. Um, he throws one of them back first into metal stakes, and it goes right across his back. Um, he what else does he do? He throws one of them like into like the sand pit that hot as a rock, and it dies that way. Um, and I can't. And then obviously he hits another one with the cinder block, and after he's murdered about every single one of them, and they've tried to take him down and scratch and bite at him, but obviously because Travis is a main character isn't going to die, he's able to fight him off. So after he's disposed of him, he tries to throw a cinder block at Blake, but it misses, and Blake says that he shouldn't waste his energy, and he sends more of the infected out of a couple that were fenced in to attack Travis, and we don't really know what happened from Travis from this point going forward. Um, Now, as this has been happening, let's talk about what's been going down with Madison and Alicia. Pretty much, they get taken to a room where they're going to be processed, and they can pretty much leave. And Troy's being really nice to them, which was very suspicious. And um, Madison and Alicia pretty much do whatever they can to try to find some sort of weapon so they can take out Troy. But Troy is being pretty nice to them. He gives them tea, and Madison tells Troy that she just wants to find Nick. And I did like how they had that scene where Madison asked Troy if it was if he was lost, would her mother do anything she could to find him? And Troy says that his mother passed, and she says, "I'm sorry." So I did like that scene. And when Troy left alone, um, Madison and Alicia have this discussion, and this is the first, and they bring up the fact that you know, Alicia ended up having a murder. I forget who it was, but the guy at the hotel to save Travis. So Madison says if it does lead to violence and it does have to lead to killing, I'm gonna be the one that does it, not you. And then later on, Troy has a conversation with Madison, and Troy continuously tells him that he's not a bad guy, but we know he's pretty much talking out of his ass, lying what's to Madison about what's really going on. And I did like how they had that scene where Troy where Madison just keeps asking about where Travis is, and Troy asks Madison if um if she loves Travis more than her own life, and Madison says yes, and then he hears that whole commotion go down when Travis and stuff escape, but I've already talked about that, so I'm not going to go into that. So it causes Troy to run out of the room, and the door's locked. That's why they haven't been able to escape. So when Troy comes back after they put Travis in the infected pit, um, Madison attacks Troy, and earlier Alicia had handed her a pocket knife, but um, it didn't really do any good. Troy does the best he can to fight them off, and the pocket knife ends up dropping, and eventually when Madison and him get into a struggle, she has Madison go get a vehicle to start running, and Madison takes a metal spoon and stabs Troy right in the eye through the eye with it. It looked really brutal, and she holds him hostage and keeps the spoon trapped in his eye, and all the military are gonna like shoot at her, but um, she pretty much says that she'll kill or take rip his eye vessel out or something like that. Because all she said is she wants her family, and then Troy reveals that all along that Travis might be dead, um, and reveals what he's really been doing to Travis, and this upsets Madison. But then Troy's brother, Jack, who the last name is Otto, which I think is pretty cool. Oh, Jake. I'm sorry, not Jack. Jake Otto, which is kind of weird because my sister has a boyfriend named Jake and a dog named Otto, so I think that's kind of a cool name. Um, but Jake, um, pleads with Madison um, to spare Troy. And obviously we could see that he has some sense of humanity because he's not as um, mean as Troy is. So eventually, when Jake says that he'll give up her family, um, she lets go. She lets go, and that leads to a scene later on. But I have to talk about another scene first. So Nick and Luciana uh, crawling through the tunnels to get out of the out of the military base. But when Luciana wants Nick to leave her behind because she's holding him back, but Nick refuses. And when they go to leave, they see that there's just a ton of infected out there that haven't been put down. So Nick and Luciana pretty much are trapped. So they go to escape, but um, then when they take a stop and break, Nick gets taken down by infected Steven, and um, they get into a commotion. And Alicia, when she's looking for a vehicle, hears this commotion go down and tosses Nick the pocket knife, and Luciana stabs infected Steven. And then it leads to the scene where the family finally comes together. Not clumps together. That makes no sense. And I did like that scene because it was kind of like it was the first time that they had like a big family reunion. I don't think they wanted it to come this way, but it was kind of like a nice moment. And I did kind of like how the Clarks all hugged, but Travis was kind of removed away from them. And I liked that scene. And um, then when it comes back, now I'm just going to pretty much break down everything all at once because everything became one story. Um, Jake tries to convince Madison to go with them to their military base, but they don't want to after seeing what Troy's done. So they just want to leave. Um, and then Madison and Travis have a conversation where Madison thanks Travis for helping her find Nick and apologizes for the loss of his son and declares him as part of the family now. And how after what happened with your son losing your son, um, after what happened with your son, um, you're a part of this family now. And Travis says that he's back in the real world now and ready to take on the new world with full of challenges. And then Jake and Troy get into an argument because Troy was supposed to be sent to this base to get fuel and supplies, not to um, kill people. But Troy says that he was just doing studies and got the answers they needed. These people were sick and gone anyways, and this pisses off Jake, and they kind of leave pissed off at each other. And then I don't know what this is supposed to mean, but Blake, when he's packing up the stuff from the military base, um, hears a infected in the wall and opens up the air duct, and a ton of mice come out of it. And then the infected bites um, Blake in the right across the cheek and pulls him in through the wall, and his head like bends back, like breaks his neck, and pretty much Blake gets eaten, which looked extremely painful. And everybody's about to leave. Jake tries to convince one more time for Madison um, and the Clark family pretty much to stay, but it doesn't happen. And then a ton of infected come out and everybody does the best they can to kill them. Nick and Madison grab crowbars and just start killing as much of them as they can. Uh, Jake grabs a rifle and starts shooting at him, and then hands it to Travis. And then pretty much everybody goes to their new home, because then Troy grabs a pistol and kills some of them. And Madison and Nick get into the truck with Troy, and Alicia and Travis go on top of the helicopter with the rest of with what's his face, um, Jake, and a new character we meet, Charlene, who we really didn't who we didn't really meet too much in this episode. She didn't really have a speaking role. Um, and I did like the ending where everybody kind of left the compound, kind of wondering what's next and how they're gonna go to this new home, and was supposed to maybe be suspicious about what this new home's gonna look like. So yeah, that was pretty much the end of this episode. And overall, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the opening episode, or the season premiere, I should have said, to season 3. I thought it was awesome. I liked the character development with Troy. I liked the action sequence with Travis, and you can just really see that his character is completely changed from this season, from the first 2 seasons. And I just thought this episode was awesome. I would really recommend it. And the critics and the fans agreed with this. They thought it was fantastic too. The fans on IMDb gave it 8s, 10s, and 7s. And the critics gave it, some good stuff as well. I forgot to mention that this episode came out on June 4th, 2017. It came out as the same day the next episode came out. So there you go. But if I had to rate this episode and give it a letter grade, I thought it was fantastic. I'm actually going to give it an A. I don't think it's quite an A plus episode, just because um, I feel like in that case, if you have to ask yourself if it's a perfect episode, then it's not. It's not quite a perfect episode, but it's definitely, I think, the best episode that Fear the Walking Dead has had, easily. I thought it was fantastic. Actually, you know what? There really is no problem. I'm gonna give this episode an A plus. Maybe I'm overrating it a little bit, but I just think this episode, there's really nothing wrong with it, and I just thought it had some really great scenes and some really great character introductions and some really great deaths and some really great character development. So I'm gonna give this episode an A plus. I think this is the best episode that Fear the Walking Dead's ever had. And if we get more episodes, not like this, but if we get more great episodes, then I think this could be a great season of Fear the Walking Dead. But we'll have to wait and see. That's pretty much my review of this episode. Please make sure you guys leave your comments on what you guys thought of it in the comment section down below. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. And make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell. So that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers YouTube channel, because I post things on there as well. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.